Hey, chat, bear with me. No one just showed up, so I wanted to stream this moment. Bit rush, sorry about that.
No one come forth. State the nature of your reading.
I am curious of that which I am.
At this time, focus upon your past and memories. As I begin to read the runes, close your eyes.
He reaches to the orb before him to call upon the first rune. This symbol represents something of prosperity. Symbolizes wealth, abundance, success, security, and fertility is associated with. Represents livestock sorts. Did you recall anything in your past that may have significance to this
wrong.
I do not believe so, as I do not know much of my kin. All I know is that upon my birth, before I could speak or remember much of anything, my eyes were ripped from my head. And then I was locked in that fucking tomb, sealed away for all eternity. It was a fairly large tomb, so potentially my kin had some form of money.
I now call upon the second room. Good. Lagus. Interesting. This room symbolizes intuition, emotions, flow, renewal, dreams, hopes, and fears. It represents water. You think back in your past to what you have stated and remember. How this room is significant too. Your placement within the tomb, your past before hence.
Could you repeat the description for me?
Second rune is Lagos. It symbolizes intuition, emotions, flow, renewal, dreams, hopes, and fears. It represents water. And you think back and remember anything to your past before the crypt that has significance to the room and the first.
Potentially the emotion part of it. For I used to have such things, and I do not anymore. Emotion has been lost over thousands of years. All cares, all worries, are but a fleeting thought that have all faded long ago.
I call upon the third room.
I hear the tiny one.
Ew.
Do not disturb the reading. Be silent. Do not disturb the reading. And Zeus. This one represents the mouth, communication, understanding, and inspiration. It is representing the estuary. Think back into your past of how this might have affected your being placed into the crypt in your past, the situation, and thus of your memory. How is this room significant to you?
As a child, I spoke two ways.
Continue.
I am trying to remember how. Give me but a moment. It may take some time for me to adjust.
And focus. Close out the disturbances of the outside world. Fill your mind of disturbances and focus.
very difficult. I am not being able to remember.
It is possible something is preventing you. Continue. I'll call upon the fourth realm. Interesting. Daggers. This one symbolizes awakening, certainty, illumination, completion, and hope. It represents the dawn. And you recall anything in your past that you might have discovered and realized that might have caused a confrontation that allowed your eyes to be removed and you placed within the crypt. Perhaps it was something that you learned. Perhaps it was something that you had your eyes open to. Perhaps you've seen something you were not intended to see. You cannot hear me. Turn that down. You cannot hear me. I'm going to have to pause this. Okay, he's logging back in. Check my audio, my settings. Turn this down some. Here we can adjust the volume a little bit. that. Maybe that will help. Hmm. If he's alright. He'll be back. It's just a matter of time.
Well, the BRB screen while we wait for his return. He is loading back in. Hopefully his voice is fixed. Now my keyboard is acting up on the R and it's annoying me.
I believe I have returned.
Good. I will repeat the question for you. Fourth rule is daggers. It symbolizes awakening, certainty, illumination, completion, and hope. It represents the dawn. Think back to before the time. Perhaps it is something that you became aware of. Perhaps you saw truth in something. What is it that led to the removal of your eyes to begin with? What is it that puts yourself in conflict?
I believe it's the glowing of my eyes and also my second voice.
I see. I shall call upon continue.
I believe it was fear of my kin, of that which I might be, that which I do not know for sure.
Of your kin. You're unsure of who your kin are.
I only know that my mother was an elf, gouged my fucking eyes out. Aside from that, I don't know much of them. I have no idea who or what
Fascinating. Volcana. This room symbolizes femininity, fertility, healing, generation, and birth. It represents Saber's tree. Tree is significant to that of elvenkind. Perhaps it is something that your mother did not wish for you to see. Remember, perhaps... Your mother, a noble, a royal, she had a reputation that could not afford to be tarnished. But do you remember of your past? How is this rune significant to you and the present situation?
I am not sure. Nobody ever spoke to me of anything. Very few things were divulged to me of any kind. I was always kept away even before the tomb. Not to be seen nor heard.
The memory of your mother. Interesting. What of your father? Is there anything there?
I have never met nor seen him. I do not know if he even exists, to be honest.
I shall call upon the sixth rune. Interesting. Othala. This rune symbolizes your ancestry, possession, heritage, experience, and value. This represents inheritance. What is it of your past that is significant to your mother? That may have something to do with the father you do not know. Perhaps it is someone. Perhaps she did not want you to have an inheritance and wanted it all for herself. And you remember, beyond the crypt, what words, what imagery, and you recall faces, body language, tone. What can you recall?
Not much other than the fact that my name is No One. As I was, like I previously stated, to not be seen nor heard anytime there were guests. If they heard noises of me doing anything, and inquired of who was there, my mother would simply say, "No one is here. It is no one."
Your mother did not wish you to be seen, for it is clear that she wanted you to remain out of sight, which would have tarnished her name. Your name clearly is not No One, but it is what you remember. There is a thing in your past. Should you discover and do remember this, I should call upon the seventh rune. Gabble. This rune represents and symbolizes balance, exchange, partnership, generosity, relationships. It represents a gift. What do you remember about yourself that sets you apart from others around you, aside from your voice? Is there anything significant beyond the normal man, beyond the normal pen, beyond the elves and those of society that surrounded you? Is there something that your mother wants to be kept hidden away? What can you do?
Well, unlike most of the elves, I am not frail, as you can see. I am very sturdy. I have an aptitude for war and destruction. Every time I have been awakened in the past, somehow transported into the body of another, where there was no consciousness other than mine. It had always been for purposes of war, siege, destruction. Whereas the elves that I was surrounded by were very elegant, frail, weak, agile, but that is also one of their weaknesses. I do not exhibit these weaknesses, never have. As far as I know, I am probably the tallest elf that I've ever seen as well. Whether it be in my life or the lives of others that I inhabited for a short time. Aside from that, I believe that being locked in the tomb kept me from actually knowing my, I guess, power. That may well be what they were afraid of. However, if you inquire about me across the land, I have never accosted anybody that didn't deserve it, that didn't ask for it, that did not beg for it. So am I such a bad person after all? I do not know. Does whatever I am make me inherently evil? I do not believe so.
And I shall call upon Eighth Rune. This is fascinating. Jira represents the year, symbolizes cycles, completion, changes, harvest, reaping rewards. Can you think and recall or remember anything of your past that might be connected to this significance of this room? Are you called upon intentionally to wreak havoc on those deserving? Are you summoned to do a purpose? Or is that your design, reasoning? Are you the son or god? Are you the executioner that those may fear?
A few times that I was awoken and brought somewhere, murmurings of that I had been summoned. And once I was there, my orders were absolutely to wreak havoc, destruction, and to create unrest within the powers that be. I am still unaware of how, but yes, I believe I was summoned for that exact purpose.
Interesting. How is it that your tomb, your crypt, is sealed to begin with?
As far as I am aware, I heard many of the hooded dress-wearing kind, the mages, clerics, things of that nature, chanting many different things that I could not understand. As far as the seal, I am not sure exactly if it was a physical manifestation of anything or if it was something created magically. Being locked inside, I could not see anything of the nature. So I am not sure exactly what it could or could not have been. However, the third thing they started chanting ignited the inside of my tomb. As I slept eternally, I also burned eternally.
Interesting.
In fact, upon exiting my tomb, that is when I found this skull and decided to craft it into a head covering to hide my face.
I see.
And based off of its size, it must have come from a great beast of some form of a man.
I'll tell you what the runes speak here. It is clear and evident that the runes speak that you are a person of great importance. There is a name for you, a real one. You are not no one, but you do have a name. Once your name is discovered, the gift that you possess within you will be unlocked, and then you will be free. Where? Do you know where any information is on your mother? Seek the past of your mother. Seek her history. Find her journals. See what is to be said about her past. And you will learn more about who you are and what you inherit.
There was only one problem with that concept. I
Let
can
me
remember
guess.
the words of these people.
Oh? These people, who are they? Specifically?
The people that live nowadays. only written squiggles that I understand have been long forgotten.
The people that live in these lands these days have a cultural name. What are they?
I do not know.
Much has been covered over your eyes to blind you. Yet it is all around you. Should you cover any information, you might seek out a way for it to be deciphered. A way for you to learn to read. Perhaps it will help you remember more. What I can tell you is this. There is a grand library of a great many things that has recently been opened and unlocked for many days. It had remained closed and sealed, but now the tomb of knowledge has been opened. You may possibly find information there, within the Nexus as well. There is also that of other small libraries out in the lands if you discover them. But you have the resemblance of a Van Ghoul. At least on first impression. That entirely cannot be the place. There is a word to an old being a people designed to wreak havoc, and they were called the Okami. But I am unsure if that is you. There's nothing holding you back. Continue.
I am unaware as well. Are there any very ancient tablets that still exist? Because I may be able to read them.
Possibly. Curiosity is... Have you been to the obelisk in the land? The strange structures surrounding us within places in the land with crystals upon them. Have you seen them?
I have not. I have spent most of my time gathering, hunting, and conversing of nonsensical natures in most cases with the majority of the time, people of these lands speak nothing but nonsense.
Indeed. I will tell you this, I have seen Thomas myself, and I intend to do some deciphering. Though it is claimed that there are some that already have claimed to decipher tablets as are near these obelisk constructions. You know where the Silvershire is.
Indeed, I have been invited to, I guess, attain help with anything necessary from a man named Brian, who I believed resided there. However, I am not so sure because, well, these days it is difficult to figure out where anybody resides.
Go alone in the cover of darkness. obelisk there, you might see the answers you seek, possibly. There are 5 other obelisks. The 5th one is yet to have been discovered. Each obelisk has a tablet near them that has recently been uncovered, as it were. There are also other tablets throughout the land that are much even older than these that have to do with the immediate locals of these people, which, for some reason, I do not feel has anything to do with you.
Interesting.
These tablets have only recently surfaced. As I would like to say, the void. After your rising. Perhaps it is intended for you to discover these tablets and see them with your eyes, but I find it most intriguing that your mother and you have a very disturbing past. And you not knowing anything of your father.
Indeed.
The runes have only revealed so much, but one thing is clear here. There is nothing stopping you from discovering your truth about your past, about who you are. The only thing that is stopping you is those you speak to that are afraid of who you might be and may wish and design to not help you discover the truth of who you are. And thirdly, you have all the power in the cosmos at your feet to discover your truth. This is a speaking of the true runes, and they cannot say no more than that. But what guidance I have provided you is what the runes speak. How you take the guidance which you use with this information is entirely up to you. And I think you may be... It is an old, very, very old legend, and I can't quite remember it for the life of me. There is legend about a being that does not necessarily have either a mother or a father, but yet you have memory of something. You have a memory, and that memory is being locked away. Tell me, in your past, do you remember having any acquaintances or knowing your mother to have association with dwarves?
I am not sure.
I see.
I do know that there were many dwarves at the time. Not like the tiny ones we see around here, but actual dwarves. It has been a long time since I have even seen a dwarf.
Of course, much has changed, from what I understand. There's also another grand library. If it is not yet completed, I do not know. You may wish to go to the in-between and seek out the dwarves' vessel. They call the fragment. Perhaps you might even find some memory of yourself there as well.
Do you know where this is located on the in-between? As I have been there probably 3 or 4 times hunting bears. But aside from that, I have not seen anyone running around or anything.
My intuition tells me that if they are not building their vessel in the god's claw as they had here, they might be doing so at the crevice. If they are not doing it there, well, they have probably found a way to, I think, not to the idea. It sounds really absurd, but perhaps placing their entire consciousness into a single being, or a single construct. The idea is ridiculous. One who is many, yes. Apparently, constructs are a thing that some artificers have been exploring into. Even those that are constructs, it has been discovered that the knowledge of who created them is forbidden, of which I do not care to speak in front of them. I don't trust them entirely, because those who I do not see behind the eyes of those that control them, it concerns me, because I would much rather speak to the person behind them. And I know I could be an ally.
Indeed is a construct, not but a shell. Something sent out by the one that controls them to gather information, to infiltrate places, things of the like. Places where they themselves either cannot or are not willing to go.
I would see that
as
I would see that as a parallel to a golem, personally. As golems are created for that very thing as well. These are machinations, as it were. They are... tuned to behave and think in a certain manner and remember certain things, and not have access to certain others, perhaps programmed is a word I have heard frequently.
Indeed. One of no self-cognizance. Mimicking sentience.
Yes. Unless it is a sign that they are trying to have a form of sentience. retain some form of immortality, which I find absolutely absurd in its approach. Nonetheless, there is nothing stopping you from your search, except for those that surround themselves with you and are afraid of what you might become. If you have been awoken from your tomb, it is for a reason, and that reason, something tells me, now, is to maintain a balance. It is not for good or evil, but balance. Is my guess, anyway. The rules didn't say anything about that.
Indeed. It is a logical way of thinking, that is for sure. And as I have stated in the past a few days ago, this is the only time I have been in the body of which I was born. I am still unsure of what unsealed my tomb.
Do you recall what body you were in before this one?
The last body I was in was the body of a vampire.
I see. I had a nice conversation with a Githari once in the Goblet Bow, and it was discerned that the Crimson Reavers were trying to figure out a way to possibly gain mortality by using their own bodies as what do they call them? Phylacteries. Thus allowing their consciousness to travel from one to another, but it had yet been designed or experimented. Perhaps that is why, if anyone hears about you, they might be afraid.
That may very well be.
Body of a vampire. And what before that? Do you recall?
Before that, I was in the body of a frost giant.
Before that.
The first time I was awakened, I was in the body of a very small, elf-like creature. I am not sure of what they called themselves. However, though there was no consciousness other than mine, I understood easily by the way people would request things of me, inquire things of me, that this person was a very well-known assassin.
Interesting.
One that would infiltrate the keeps of kings, queens, lords, ladies, things of that nature, and dispatch them with no warning or no signs that he had been there prior.
Fascinating. In your memory, each of these bodies that you have been in, there anything that you remember that is a form of repetition?
It seems they all had some kind of ill intent, and the most repetitive thing is, when I was in these bodies, my face bled as it does, naturally, in my own body.
Interesting. Before the small body of an elf to remember anything beyond that.
Before that, I only remember slumbering for thousands of years in the burning crypt. The fires only went out the day I awoke here, in my own body for once.
Interesting. And all those that surrounded you in these different bodies, you say that everyone seemed to have ill intent. Was it ill intent on you or ill intent on others?
Ill intent on others. That is why I believe that I was summoned in a way that would further their gain. Their agenda, whatever you would like to call it.
Where are you? Where can one find you most regularly? Now that your crypt has best dismantled, I cannot remember what you said. Was it how much?
I reside in Grimshard for the time being.
For the time being.
There. Indeed. I have not quite settled on a place to be permanently. There are things in Dunwich that I do not like, for the one that is many has shown me today that I cannot trust him. We stopped by earlier, and it seemed as if nobody was around, and he proceeded to, how did he put it? Finagle his way into your, I believe he called it a mailbox. To snoop.
Of course. Interesting.
I may have killed many in my time. I may have infiltrated places for that exact purpose. However, things of that nature, those things are against the way I am, the way I see myself, the way I think things should be. Honesty and integrity are very strong things within me.
Makes it seem as if you are a hand of justice. Retribution. A judge.
That may very well be the case. However, I have been utilized in ways that I do not really agree with.
Do you feel as if you were forced into them?
I believe that is the only way that it could have been.
The eyes that you wear now, are they your own or another's?
The eyes that are within my skull were the eyes that regenerated themselves after the original ones had been gouged out. They belong to me, yes.
Interesting. Do you feel as if you have received any insight?
I believe I have gained some form of direction, for sure.
That is most important. You may, of course, return here again at another time as well. If you wish to see what the runes have to say once more. Remember,
Indeed.
not to ask the same question.
Indeed.
You may. And you make your decision. If you are through with Dunwich, continue on your journey of self-discovery. You may, if you wish, find solace here. Perhaps the runes will help guide you further.
Indeed. These runes, they seem... And you have described them as an ancient way of dealing with things, ancient way of potentially writing. Something about them seems familiar.
Runes are rooted to magic and arcane energies before the tongue of common man. Runes were a way to communicate reason, purpose, and intention in their creation. All you see about you is based within those very confines of control. That is what we, at least, believe, and have learned for at least ourselves. For others that do not and have forgotten, we have runes, and runes' purposes. They will not be so inclined to believe things are so old and ancient. These runes that I read through you go back far, beyond the time of mortal men. They go back to the time of chaos wars and celestial realms.
there may be something more to them that is useful to me than the records they seem to hold, the information they keep.
Impossible. One of the things that they found most disturbing is the use of runes in their way at Dunwich upon a platform. They had called it a place for education. But its design speaks something entirely different, and I intend to, well, I either will go myself, or someone else will go to speak on the matter. Runes on circles magically used in their way with a restraining device in its central place is not just a place of education. Something else entirely different.
That may speak to what drew me to Dunwich in the first place. There was something that I could feel drawing me there. At first I thought potentially that I was mistaken and not in my own body. And that once again, I had been transported into the body of another. Every time prior to that, there was always some drawing force to a certain location, upon which reaching certain location, I was informed of my duties, I guess is the best way of putting it.
I see. Your crypt was destroyed. Your eyes were open and you could see. Where did your eyes open?
In the south by the river. There is a rock, a boulder, that falls every time someone passes it.
And you were drawn Dunwich from there.
Indeed, there was something, some form of power, something I could feel that was in the location of Dunwich. I spent a couple hours scoping the place out to find exactly what it was. And then I found a circular altar platform thing. Whatever the hell it is.
Tell me. Your time there. What have you learned? Speaking of this corpse root,
Not much. I do know that many congregate to it to speak of nonsensical things.
of course.
Conversation. Aside from that, I have not learned much of anything. Everyone seems to be very quiet about the things they hide, the things they know in Dunwich.
Yes, indeed. Very reason why I had informed the young lady it was here. That in all houses the runes speak of betrayal.
Indeed.
Some unintending, while others are purposed.
Is that not how it always is when it comes to that, though?
Not always. Thokran know everything of each other. They're not secretive. That effect. We do not hide things from our own culture. It is against the codes of our caste and civilization. I cannot speak of that to other cultures. There is clarity, and, well, as transparent as glass in our culture.
I admire that, for, I live kind of in a similar way. I have nothing to hide. The only reason I even hide my face is, well, some people cannot stomach it.
Of course. Where will your search begin? What direction will you go to learn?
These libraries that you speak of, are there ancient texts, millennia old?
Possibly. I may have some parchments I can gather. May have them, and see if they are any enlightenment to you. Other than that, what I can say is that the writing upon the tablets around this obelisk is indeed very old and ancient. Even more so ancient than that of these local tablets that have been inscribed by the pathetic giant kings.
I had an inquiry about those as well. Now you say that they are recent. Are you not sure that they are not forgeries? A tool of some kind of gain from a party of people that wish...
Now that is the smartest question anyone has ever asked. Oh yes, I do believe that. It is a game. Someone is playing a game with the minds of those that are influenced by them. In the end, it is very clear with these worlds that are open to crossing each other, there is a desire by someone to gain the power and control of them all. Consider this. Should one have the ability to have connections to them all, and have a power within each to connect them all in some fashion, it's the same essentially as to finally opening up a way to affect the passage of time and history. This is just the beginning of travel. We call them the void sifters where we come from. We have yet to see anything of such magnificent design, and yet the dwarves' fragment is as close as it might become.
Indeed.
I would say, yes, they are forgeries. People people that are involved in them are trying to sow suspicion and concern and worry where there is nothing to be concerned and worried for, where the true threat lies behind that which is actually controlling it. And they still don't know who it is coming from. They only know they have ideas. This Lord Crowley, which I still have yet to meet, or any of his people for that matter. It is very clear that Lord Crowley is only a threat to those that would raise a blade against him, and not a threat to those that would not. It has come to my understanding that those that are dealing with this Lord Crowley, they had captured and dealt with one of their sole lieutenants, who happened to have been a vampirate. Is it not possible that your former body may have been one of those? You think?
I do not believe so.
Yeah, let's hope not.
Not how long these vampirates, as people call them, have existed. But
Nor do I.
the body in which I inhabited, based off the wear and tear of the world, that would have been roughly 3 to 4 millennia ago.
Been a while. For sure.
Indeed.
Let me ask you this question. Close your eyes and think for a moment in history. Does the name Osiris mean anything to you?
I believe Osiris is a ferryman of the dead, is he not?
Interesting.
Some other thought processes on it would be such as a gatekeeper of sorts. One who gives your worth upon death.
If this be true, you might find more information. The west of the savannah. Take to the Hall of Rhinos and inquire of Osiris. Seek to the Black Sun Tower west of Sepameru. And perhaps you might learn more there as well.
Indeed.
Perhaps Osiris can enlighten you as well, unless he is a threat to you, to return you to your tomb.
Both of those could very well be a great possibility.
Indeed. So you know that the Black Sun Tower, the Hall of are allied to each other, affiliated to the Stygian gods, and Osiris is upon them, among them. There's no telling who other of the Stygian gods have risen from their slumber.
So what you are
There's...
saying,
Continue.
what you are saying is there are ancient gods awakening on this plane of existence.
That would be, well, clarity at best. But Kuma is also a god of the Katani people, and yet does not seem to bear the significance of their cultural lore. So I would not overreach that. The possibility is there, considering this is the way the cosmos is being affected by the Nexus, and dark powers are at stir. With you being risen from your tomb, it is indeed most possible that those of the West are calling upon their own. There is no way to tell for certain.
Indeed.
But the fact remains that if Osiris is indeed the very man you speak of, then you might be inclined to speak to Osiris and see if he can look further into what ails your memory. That is a particular suggestion.
Duly noted.
And with all of the snooping ears around us, it would be no secret that your direction lies to answer that you do not have here. But you may return when you wish to seek more clarity.
Indeed. I believe the tiny little sneaky one is still about.
Of course. Would that be you, Jinx? Someone else? Perhaps Jabberwocky? Or is it this one called Whippet? No telling.
I did hear Whippet earlier. Or at least I thought I heard his voice.
Yes. Where is this building? The blue top around here. I've not seen it. I have heard that he lives within this area specifically, but I cannot seem to find a building matching the blue top description.
I am not sure. It may be the one that is slightly east of here.
I see. Possibly.
I do not know for sure. The only way to be certain is to ask him. Are you still here, little one?
Not unless he's already taken hold of us.
Indeed. I believe he may have been spooked when he realized he wasn't as sneaky as he thought.
Possibly. Fine.
It also seems that when I had my little issue earlier of not being able to speak, that I have been shrunken because I can pass through your doorway now without issue.
Interesting.
I think I shall figure out what kind of shit was cast on me and remedy that issue.
Of course. Again, the offer stands. Return when you need to.
Indeed.
I hope you find the answers you seek. And the guidance you receive gave you a strong direction. I too am most curious. And there are many questions and curiosities that need to be answered regarding Dunwich.
Yes. Now the rats that reside in Dunwich are...
One more thing of warning.
Indeed.
The vampires have gained the attention of archangels. The angels walking these lands. Discovered one just a couple of days ago. Near the side of the river there. Made it very clear. I understand what they are here for and their purpose and intentions, and gave him a very clear statement not to proselytize within the boundaries of our domain. He said that they did not intend to stay there very long, that they intended to go to Hammerdeep to side with the king dwarf there.
Interesting.
Such a collection of misfits, and that of angels as well. I do not care to be a judge of character, as I believe in maintaining a specific balance for our survival. But I begin to fear that there is too much light beginning to spread like a virus. I do not like it.
Intriguing.
And because I think...
Hammerdeep place.
My apology. Seems that when thoughts are astir, this has the opportunity to unleash. I will try to be more mindful of that with you.
No worries. I have never been to this Hammerdeep place, though. I do not know who resides there.
I'll tell you one thing I remember from someone that recently stayed just west of a decent librarian that Grimshard befriended. There is a particular race of people that are, how did he put it, of ill repute. He's a rogue of such kind. Cannot say how much I cannot speak of the other. I do not know if the other has any ill intention. Do not be surprised when you find a zoo amity. What I mean is a multitude and variety of different races.
Yes. I understand.
No real culture there, except perhaps the dwarves. Can't speak of anything else of them.
Indeed. Oh, yes. Another thing I almost forgot to mention. Disregard whatever note the one that is many left you, as I am already here, and, well, I believe he may seek information to use against people, not information to know things, to learn things.
Where is this note?
I do not know. He said he had left a note.
I will have to see. Is it in the mailbox? Apparently it is. Or two. We'll check them out later.
Indeed, no worries.
Well, no one. We'll have to find a name for you. Certainly you are not comfortable with just being called no one.
It is what I am used to.
You are somebody.
Well, yes, I am somebody. I am no one.
That's fine. You are used to it, then you are used to it. So I encourage you that once you find your real name, face it.
Indeed. As far as I am aware, the only name I was ever given was no one. But, as you have stated, as the records of the runes have stated, there must be something else that I was called at one point.
Yes. Is there anything else you would seek of the Inquisitor?
I do not believe so at this time. I will have to contemplate many things before I have any other definitive questions.
Very well. Until next time.
Indeed.
May the shadows guide you.
You as well.
Alright, this is almost over. We've done this now. So we got, what, a couple of hours out of that? Cool. And then we're going to go ahead and call it on the stream on this. Really hadn't expected a big up stream just yet, but did. And y'all take care. Until next time. Grimshard, thanks you for dropping in. Much appreciated. Y'all take care. All the many viewers that dropped in and everything. Much appreciated. We'll be back another time.